there's so many things in the world that deter your focus because you think you should be doing all these things. But I really think the more that you can exist in a state of a singular goal, the more focused you'll be and the more accurate you'll be in your achievement of said goal.
The Converse Cowboy journey has given me an opportunity to sit down with some amazing performers that are living the Western lifestyle, where it is my job to tease out their habits and routines so that you can apply and test yourself in your own life. I've learned, I've grown personally, I've been enlightened, and I've been humbled. Above all, I realize that there is no destination in this life, no goal achieved or money made that can replace the feeling of flow and the pursuit of doing what you love to do. With a growth mindset, I'm constantly asking questions and pursuing knowledge. The Converse Cowboy is a platform that allows me to do just that. I'm excited and eager to share their stories with you all. I'm Mike Roberts. This is the Converse Cowboy. Brought to you by Kerry Kelly Bits and Spurs and Schaefer Outfitter.
How are things in Nashville right now, man?
Things in Nashville are rather, I find it's split down the middle between two kinds of people. It's either very joyous and everything's on the rise, or the city is going to complete tumultuous terror. And I try to lean on the optimistic side of things and seeing the growth happen. And there's, of course, the scary thing about the weather and the lack of infrastructure that we had. And
we're the same way down here, man, like infrastructure. I'm actually in Louisiana. And if they even mention like snow or ice, like the town shuts down, school shut down, you know, and we got like 6 inches, like the most we've ever gotten in my life of being here. It was crazy.
Yeah. You know, I hear it was a 120-year storm.
Yeah, I believe it.
Which is kind of funny because like I don't know how they would go and track 120 years ago.
Yeah, right.
What were they doing? Just getting a ruler back then? It's like I guess it's 5-6 inches. I don't know, but you know, we live in a great time for communication and knowing when things are going wrong. You know, you have GPS that lets you know what roads are safe. And
I know.
Like back then, you just had like an almanac. It's like, how does that work?
Dude, I thought about it. Like, not only do you not know, but like, how do you survive this shit, right? Like, we're complaining because we don't have electricity. Well, those guys, man, they didn't have anything.
Well, yeah, you know, good times make for weak men, right? So it's like easy times are definitely making us a little bit soft in some way. You know, I noticed a lot of the people I grew up playing music with played with Merle, played with Johnny Paycheck, you know, knew George Jones when he had his first apartment in Nashville. Yeah. So these are men that came up in a time when things were harder. You know, you couldn't buy gas every day of the week. You had to have the right numbers on your license plate to go buy it on a Monday, and you had, you know, spend $1 to fill up the tank, and it was like just a different time. And morals and concepts that those mentors of mine from that period of time communicated to me allow me to kind of see a contrast in the people that I'm presently 25, that, you know, that people who are 25 now that don't really know those people from that different time have kind of a different outlook on life that makes them take things in a way where they don't really have a lot of control a lot of the time, and they might feel victimized more often than not, as opposed to just trying to see the bigger picture and see how good we really do have things. Right. How it really is a great time to be communicating to the world and be creating music and being alive. Yeah. It can be so hard. you know, it's just good. Like Buck Owens, like
we make it harder than it is though, really.
Yeah, man, we really do. Yeah. And that might be the human condition. You know, I'm always thinking a lot now about how much pressure is self-imposed that I'm feeling, because you have to have some sort of pressure. Like you have career pressure, you have relationship pressure, you have personal growth pressure. Those are all real, but there might be some pressure in there that's self-imposed that isn't very necessary, that you could get rid of, and it might allow you to do things in a more efficient way.
Right. No, I agree with you. And I think there's a balance in all of it, right? Like, what is it? Like, is this ego, or is this like my pure intent, you know? And like somewhere in the middle lies the truth, you know? And I think we're silly to believe that ego, I don't know. I think ego can be used in a beneficial way. Like that's why, you know, we do what we do, or we want, you know, we we want to be accepted by others. We want to do good things, part of that I have to think is ego in a way, but I think the key is awareness, like we've got to be aware of it and know and feel when that's starting to rise and then like pull the reins back on it,
Yeah, the awareness, man. I call it the cosmic center. I try to get back to that center every day because the cosmic country. It's what I find this that being what I do all the time. That's kind of the general thesis of my life right now.
Yeah,
I'm finding a lot of things to kind of have a cosmic hue to them, and the most cosmic thing is the center. When I'm playing music, I'm at most with that center. When time is like when you're grinding and it's like 6 a.m. and you're working out or doing something like that, 5 minutes goes by a whole lot slower. But when you're on stage and you're playing, and 90 minutes goes by very fast.
Yeah.
So I'm realizing that the way we perceive and work and flow with time is very much so based on how close we are to our center and how close we are within that flow. And you can activate that space just through awareness. Yeah. And practicing of awareness, which is kind of like it doesn't look like a muscle that's your bicep, but it is a muscle. It's an abstract muscle, and so it takes an abstract understanding to see and feel that. Yeah. But I think the people that really create things that we love or just do greatness, like you can even see it in people who aren't even doing music. You can see when greatness is achieved, and man, it's awareness. I think are one of the variables that allows you to get to that stage.
Yeah. I saw you posted a book. I've actually got the same book by Anthony DeMello. Mine looks different than yours, but that's a game changer.
So yours looks older.
Yeah, I don't know. I've had it for, a few years now, but man, that opened my eyes. It expanded my awareness. And it's like you said, I used to think you could get to this place and like you would have figured everything out and you've made all the money and you're sitting on the top of the castle and like that place doesn't exist. Like it's a practice and like awareness can't be had. Like you can only practice it, and feel like you I like your word, like center, like you can feel you're going to veer. It's going to happen. Like accept that and then veer it back to center. And how we do that is, I think, through awareness, and
that's it. Yeah, I think that term is called conditional happiness. So when you believe that, when I like my goal is to like sell at the Ryman right now. It's like my dream.
Is what? Say that again.
Sell at the Ryman Auditorium. Because I used to play at this bar called Robert's Western World, which is like the home of traditional country music. And it's the only bar in Nashville that's not changed since it's opened, really. It's been there for years. It's where Willie Nelson bought Trigger. So it's a really interesting place full of history and ghosts that are just very, very real. And I played like 500.
Yeah, I was going to say, I read that. You played over, 450, 500 shows there?
Yeah. It's this thing now where it's like, it's 20 feet away from the Ryman. And so there's 10,000 hours in between though. And so I can't like not be happy during all those hours. Otherwise I'm going to be operating poorly and putting out those things into the world. And that's the last thing someone needs is someone picking and strumming on a guitar who's not happy.
Right.
So conditional happiness. I think it's an illusion that we kind of get brought up knowing, like being taught, at least where I was here in Spring Hill, Tennessee, growing up, where it's like, you got to hustle, you got to go to college, you got to get an MBA, you got to go to church, you got to do all these things that everyone else does, or otherwise you're, it's going to be harder for you to be happy because you're not like everybody else. And it's like, well, that's not really the Western American ideal. Really, I feel like if you're an American, it's you pursuing the best you that is. And that requires bravery. And that requires you to take risks and perhaps fail in front of other people out loud.
Yeah.
And I think, not having that conditional happiness alongside that journey is something that when I've sat down, spoken to heroes of mine or just people I admire, they kind of agree with that methodology as well, which is just try to be happy now, try to, because it'll make everything better. Yeah.
And you're right. Like it's social conditioning. I'm no different, Daniel. Like it's the same way. You're grown up to value money. You grow up to value certain things based off your environment, based off the people around you, schools, teachers, parents. And I don't know what it was for me that made me shift. And again, like, I'm not sitting here like I have all the fucking answers either, because I don't, but I do know, I do feel a difference going through my day now than when I did then. It's like I had blinders on and I was just doing, I was on autopilot almost, just doing what I was supposed to do, you know?
Yeah. Man.
Until I started asking why, you know? And I'm just hyper curious by nature. And so I question everything now, maybe to a fault at times. But
that's great.
Anyway.
You know, it's so funny, man. We had all these economics classes in high school. And they never once taught me like go buy like a ETF. Like no one was ever just like go buy a stock. No one was like start an IRA account. There was nothing about actually like anything about financial security. Even if you're not making a lot of money, there was no. So it was like a lot of like fear induced conceptions.
100%.
Fear induced conceptions. And it's like, or concepts rather. And it was like in going to history class too. It's like, you know, I'm questioning a lot of things that I was taught and in ways I was taught to communicate and behave with people, just because, you know, a career in music kind of thrusts you into the world in a faster way culturally than you going to college for 4 years. Like I've been touring since I was 16 years old. Like I went to Norway with my dad when I was 16 for the first time. Like, and you know, we got stranded out in a hotel somewhere and had to share like a twin size IKEA bed. Like these are things that a 16-year-old, you know, if you're hyper curious and you're kind of disagreeable, like it sounds like you are, and you want to question things, it's a really great career.
Yeah.
You know, so
like I will put my tinfoil hat on like that. I will admit it, you know, like, and
is that
question
a tinfoil? I thought it was beaver.
Yeah. That's what I'm wearing now. Tinfoil is on the shelf right now, but
I want Stetson to hit up with some aluminum hats. Then
go.
I'll start wearing them, some tinfoil hats.
They have, hell yeah, you could sell them down in Roswell, New Mexico.
Man, has anyone ever done a tinfoil hat that's actually shaped to a cowboy, to a traditional?
That's a good question. Other than the guy like in New Orleans that spray painted himself like silver, you know, other than that guy, I don't think so. No. I did a whole lot of like head shaking and nodding my head in agreement with you as I did the research on you, listening to your podcast. The Lost Highway, by the way, anybody wants to check that out, I highly recommend it. But to see what you've done, man, like it just inspired me. Like I'm inspired by work ethic and your energy. It's contagious, you know, and to see what you've done, like even before Robert's, like on the street busking and Lower Broadway, right? Take me back to that time. Like your dad would go with you for 7 and 8 hours, right?
Yeah.
While you're playing. Like take me back to that mindset, that grind mentality, all of it. Like I want to know why you were doing it. What if there anything ever came up like, man, what am I doing this for? Like I probably need to go back to school or whatever. Like I know you were still in school, which is fucking crazy. You were 14, 15 years old, right?
Yeah.
So I know you've been living, and I'm going to shut up here in a minute. Like to be so young, I just feel like you're wise beyond your years.
Thank you, man. I feel like there's a couple artists that are, you know, I feel less alone now because I see other people coming out of the woodwork that are really, and also way more successful than I am presently, that are around my age that definitely led interesting lives that at one point might have made them feel like, like, I feel like I'm at a kayak at sea here. Like I don't even got sails. I just got like a kayak and like a Telecaster to go through the waters with. It's like, what's going on? But I definitely feel like the guitar chose me, and that's definitely my calling card in life. So I have to, you know, I see a lot of people like stop doing a career in music sometimes when it seems like it's not going their way. And I think like for me, I've always felt things are just going upward, and there's always been a positive momentum. Even when I was playing on the street for 8 hours a day, you know, sometimes making only $20, $30, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it's always been intrinsic. And I think that's always the place I'm trying to come from is do I naturally love what I'm doing? And I know that I love what I'm doing when I love the process of getting better at it. So I don't have that conditional happiness. Like I'll only be happy once I get 1 million views. Like if I'm happy getting 12 views or if I'm happy getting $12, then that means I love what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So if I can combine love with with a really hard, industrious work ethic and a kind of a natural talent for playing guitar somewhat, then I just love what I'm doing at all moments, man. I've always done that since I was 14.
Yeah.
So yeah, I started busking when I was 14. I'd only been playing guitar a couple years. And the idea was, it came from my pops. He was like, well, why don't we go down on the Broadway? He doesn't really play, but he's always been very supportive and very entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
Very entrepreneurial. And so how do we start making money at this?
Yeah.
Not in a way that's capitalist, but in a way that money can inspire freedom.
It's a perception. Yeah, it's a perception.
It really is, right? Truly. It's how can you start making money at this so you can have freedom of time to invest more of your energy and love into music. So that keeps creating greatness and love for the people that love what you do.
Yeah.
Started doing that. And we went down the first day, did it for like 6 hours, made no dollars. And I'm walking back.
Were you nervous though? Like, were you nervous or like excited about it?
I don't really get nervous at things like that. I'm a pretty extroverted person, and I always have been, even since I was. I think that there's certain staples of our personality that we're born with, and definitely extroversion and entertainment are ones that I was born loving doing. And just through guitar, it's not like I'm out there like doing stand-up comedy, just having nothing, no, I definitely have to have an instrument to do that. Man, we're walking back to the car after the first day of trying to make some money, and there was nothing. And we passed this bar called Legends Corner, which is the last bar on the street on Broadway. It's right by the Ryman. And as we're walking by, this fella named Rockin' Randy Hall, who's a Vietnam veteran, and he's actually down in Texas right now recovering from a heart attack. And he called me onto stage while I was walking by on the street. And he said, "You look like you play guitar." And I said, "Hell yeah, I do." Like, come up here and play with us a little. We're about to pass the band's tip jug. And so usually the band takes a break when they're passing the tip jug, but not that time. Thank God. I get up on stage and they have me play this song from Bob Seger. And they asked if I knew any Bob Seger songs. And I said, like, I brush my teeth to Bob Seger. And I didn't even really know any Bob Seger. I just really was wanting to make sure the opportunity came through. And man, it was my first time picking up a Telecaster, which is the guitar I still play today. Yeah. And it just blew my mind. The fact I could play a guitar, it would come through a speaker live into a room full of people, and they were reacting to the notes I was playing. That abstract relationship was very crazy to me. So it was kind of like never riding a bike and you're getting on a motorcycle. So it's like, whoa, this thing has horsepower. Like, let's go learn how to ride this, right? Like, let's go on the back roads. Let's take it for a journey. Let's ride it in the rain. Let's ride it in the snow. And the way that metaphorically happened for me with music was, let's get back on stage again. Let's do this again. There's something to be mined here. I love doing this, and people really responded in a great way. And so the next day we went back downtown on Broadway, and I had a box, a Converse shoe box, ironically enough.
Right on.
My mom wrote a sign on for me because my handwriting's still not very good. It said, "Saving up for a Telecaster." Because after that moment on stage, I had to be the best country guitar player that ever lived. And so I made $500 that day. And that
Marketing.
The marketing is real. The marketing is a real thing. And we can see that play out in the modern landscape, or in the present day landscape that we're in now, especially with social media and all kinds of Facebook ads and doing things like that. But made the $500. We're walking back to the car. We stumble into a place called Robert's Western World. The door guy wasn't at the door, and I was able to get in past the 6 p.m. hour, even though I wasn't 21. I wasn't supposed to be in there. And there was a band that was about to play. The band was called the Don Kelly Band. I didn't know, as I was stumbling into what was Nashville's best kept secret, which was a local house band that was playing 5 nights a week, every week, without a week off since 1985. And some of the country music's most recorded guitar players have played in that band. The most successful guitar players have played in that band. And so the day I kind of put it out into the world where I'm saying, like, I want to be the best country guitarist that's ever lived, which at the time, that's something a 26-year-old Daniel wouldn't say. That's a 14-year-old's goal. That goal has definitely evolved into a different thesis,
Yeah.
but it's still in there. The energy is still in there.
Yeah.
It's just an evolution. But at 14, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
And I meant it. And so I don't know what it was, but something knew that I meant it and brought me into Roberts the next day. And so that band really destroyed me. It was the first time I had heard Johnny Cash songs live. It was the first time I had heard bluegrass played with a Telecaster with drums behind it. First time I heard bluegrass. First time I heard a country shuffle. First time I heard Crazy Arms by Ray Price. First time I ever heard of who Merle Haggard was. You know what I mean? And just blew me away.
Yeah, your mind's blown at that point, right?
Flat back, and if you have the chromosome to love that, and you just get it all in one night, you sit there for 4 hours and you get to hear Ghost Riders in the Sky the first time, it's like, man, this is the gold mine. And so I was sold. And so every week for the next 3 years, I went and bussed on the street every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then we took a break from 4 to 6. And then at 6 p.m., I would go and watch the Don Kelly band. And I would give Don my card. And I said, I want to play in your band one day. And sure enough, I got the call one day with like 3 hours notice. And it's about 100-song set list. You're about to do 60 songs every night. And man, I got the call. I put on my velvet blazer and my cowboy boots, and I packed up my stuff and I drove down there. And I got the gig after the first time playing with them, because that's what I wanted to do. And that's why I think something that's very odd now is like, there's so many things in the world that deter your focus because you think you should be doing all these things. But I really think the more that you can exist in a state of a singular goal, the more focused you'll be and the more accurate you'll be in your achievement of said goal.
Yeah.
Regardless of what your time horizon is or whatever deadline you have.
Yeah.
Just being focused on one goal. And I noticed it was very easy for me to do that at 14 through 17. So I would practice guitar 8-12 hours a day with going to school during the week. Yeah. The social life for me was hanging out with George Jones and Willie Nelson on YouTube, and then hanging out with older session players who, were touring with all those great artists and, playing in the Garth Brooks's bands and writers and producers that were, very open to my charisma and love for the genre. Yeah. So my mentorship was also one that was just of extreme luck, just being geographically near Nashville. Yeah. So luck has something to do with it as well, but just really loving what I was doing. So I got to play in that band. We played 464 shows at 4 hours a night. It was exactly what I asked for.
Dude, yeah, like you got your at-bats in, right? Like you got your reps in for sure there.
Well, it's funny, I have a lot of people, I'm 20, I'll be 26 now. And they're like, well, did you go to college? I'm like, well, kind of, yeah. Like if you look at it in a certain way, like I definitely
got an education.
I got an education. I what is college, but an investment of time in order to gain opportunities through an advanced network of people and through education and knowledge that you wouldn't have had otherwise. So yeah, I definitely had college. I just don't have 6 figures of debt now. I just got a Toyota I got to pay off, so I'm good.
Oh man, that's awesome. I can definitely relate to you. Like, so my thing was baseball growing up. I can remember like practicing while I heard the music for a homecoming dance going on. Like I was on the field with the lights on practicing, and like I knew that was there was nothing else that I
dance was at we had one at not to cut you off. Ours was at the Country Music Hall of Fame, which is a block away from Roberts. And so there were like several limos that were like all like including like people that I went to school with that were like strolling down Broadway. And I remember like in between songs, I used to look out the window. And I went to Independence High School in Thompson Station, Tennessee. And I remember seeing the limo go by on Broadway saying Independence High School Homecoming on it. Yeah. And with this guitar in my hand, just a packed house on a Saturday night, being like, there's no other place I'd rather be than just doing this right now.
Tell me about that, man. Like, how is that? You go play this show in front of all of these people, and then you go back to high school. You go back to high school on Monday.
Yeah.
Like, was that hard? Because I got to think, like, you grew up mentally, like, cerebrally, like you're on another level than these other kids in high school who are worried about what they're going to eat for lunch or whatever bullshit they're thinking about. How was that experience?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I definitely didn't have like, presently, I think all things either will be or they won't be, right? And so if you're going to be friends with people that you meet early on in life, you're going to find your high school love, like several of my friends did at that time, because grew up in a small town. So I have several friends that got married when they were 21. They're having their second, third child right now. And it's like, that was either all things will be or they won't be. So that was something that would be for them. The way it was for me, my journey, I have this way of processing these things called journey comparison syndrome. I don't think it's a very wise tool, but it's a form of violence that we inflict on ourselves. And so I think about it all the time now, because I just recently ran into somebody I went to high school with that's like in asset management. So he does his specialty is finance. And man, it just makes more sense to me now, like who I was and who I am and who I will be, now that I've had about maybe like 8 years since high school, which isn't a long time, you know. I definitely was just not a social. I wasn't the guy. Like no one really knew what I was doing, up until senior year. For some reason, the word got out in senior year. I think I started getting some press. I was on the news. I got in some magazines, that kind of a thing. Some YouTube videos started getting more views, things like that. And it was like, oh wait, Daniel plays guitar. I remember once like a girl was like, oh, you're good at something. It's like, oh God, you know, because I'm not really trying to social like virtue signal anything except just me being me. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's the only thing I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to like let people know something I'm trying to put on. Right. I don't think that's a long while lasting.
So you weren't extroverted, Daniel, in high school? Were you more reserved?
I was just outspoken and trying to be funny and all the, you know. I think the word got out when a couple teachers had actually come to see me, and they like made a big deal about seeing me. And but I don't know. I find the more attention that you can get from your social circle, that might also could take away from your focus in some ways, especially at that age. So I'm really grateful that I wasn't like some very popular kid in high school. But I had a great experience, you know. Definitely not speaking bad about any of it. Yeah. But it was weird, man. I was very focused. I was a very focused kid. I definitely knew what I wanted, and I didn't want to be in high school all the time.
How were you learning though? Like how old were you when you picked up your first guitar?
12.
12. Yeah. Which 12. Is insane, because I've been banging around on mine since I was in college, and that was 15 years ago, and I still play the same fucking 3 chords, you know?
No, but yeah, I think
the dedication, I read you were spending 12 hours a day practicing and like just going through like the practice and the dedication that takes. Like you have to absolutely love it. Like you have to have a strong why. Otherwise you put it back on the shelf like I did. I want to play like Daniel Donato. I want to be able to just shred up and down, you know, but I haven't put in the time, you know? And so I think that brings me to a quote. You said, learning guitar is not magic. It takes consistent practice. It's for the long game, the delayed gratification, you know? And so it's something that comes up time and time again on this show. You know, in this microwave society we live in, we want the shiny objects. We want the shit to happen now. But the realness and what I envy about you is the delayed gratification. Like what we see now is what was going on 14, 15 years old, Daniel, you know?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I was telling my dad the other day, it seems like I put something out into the world of what I want, and it's going to be like 10 years until I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got to put in all these hours. But I feel like that's always been my life. I don't know. I've had a very interesting life already so far. That doesn't just doesn't add up to normalcy. Anyone that I know, and just there's so many.
What is normal anyway? What is normal anyway? Right?
Might be a perceived thing, but definitely when the guitar came into my life, it definitely chose me for a reason that I don't know, but I can't stop. And you know, I've lost relationships because of it. People might think I'm crazy because of it, and I probably am. But maybe we're just Willie Nelson's crazy. I'm not comparing myself to Willie, but the guy who literally has been on the same wave of who he has been for decades. Like he's been on his wave, his vibration. Culture Wall, Billy Strings, Paul Cawthon are the modern examples of people who are just being them.
Yeah.
They've been them for years, and they're probably going to be who they are for years to come.
Yeah.
And that's, I feel like, kind of the thing that guitar does for me, is allows me to be me. Yeah.
I think anybody doing anything great, you have to have a certain level of obsession, you know, and a lot of people just aren't willing to do it, you know, or like when the girlfriend tries to break up with you, they kind of compromise and they go with the girlfriend instead of playing the guitar, you know. And so I guess it depends on where is your level of obsession at, you know.
Yeah, man. I you know, pretty recently, you know, and as I get, you know, I'm 26, I'll be 26 soon. So it's like, this is what I want to do, and I want to be great. So anyone who doesn't have the room to accept that with me in my life, I can't presently negotiate on those levels, you know? And so it's like, you realize it's like, you kind of have this cost benefit analysis of things in your life. And that's why it's like, whenever I think I have 25 goals, I dwindle it down to 5. You know what I mean?
Who said that? That's a Warren Buffett deal, right?
It is. Yeah. He told his helicopter pilot that. And it's like, well, it's very true. It's the concept of just, you know, focusing and like, what are your 5 goals, you know? And my 5 goals are definitely, you know, whatever I call it, the cosmic circle. It's like, who is in the circle that I'm, you know, exchanging words and energies with all the time, song ideas, you know, and if they don't fit in that circle, it's probably the best interest that, you know, you move on and you find the people who are.
That's something I learned. Like, I was in sales for a long time, and I would try to pacify people or make people happy or act a certain way so-and-so likes me so I can make the sale. Fuck that, man. Like, I was miserable. Like, I hated it. And what I've learned since then, like, I'm a real estate investor now, so I don't have to entertain, you know, I'm not an employee, fortunately.
What kind of real estate do you invest in?
Single family houses. I've got some apartments and just a handful of commercial stuff.
Whoa, do you manage those yourself, or do you have a team?
I have some girls in the office that do all that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
But I was selling pharmaceuticals and like growing, like buying houses up in the hopes of one day being able to walk away from the job and do this full time. And so about 2.5, 3 years ago, I did that.
Jesus Christ. That's awesome.
Yeah. But what I've learned is, like, by aligning with my truth, yes, people are going to get pissed off. Yes, people aren't going to agree. But what that does is it attracts the people that are, you know, and it goes right along with what you were saying. And
sir, there's the same business model too for fans. It's the 80-20 rule, you know, so you have the 20% of people that are going to consume everything you put out, and the 80% that aren't. And so many people are so, you know, follower hungry. We're so analytically driven, where you realize, like, what kind of followers are you actually gaining? Are these people that are really going to convert into real fans? And when you go to Wichita Falls, Texas, are they going to show up, or are you just going to be someone that they show to the person next to them while they're in the car? Like, oh yeah, that's cool. And they keep swiping. Yeah. It's like, definitely making sure that your intention on however you communicate, whether that's word to word with somebody who's in your circle, or whether that's word to word on someone on social media. It's like, you got to make sure that you're grounded in your intention, that you're being true to who you are. Otherwise you might attract the people that are vanity, and it might not pay off in the best way. It's not a good way to invest your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So right on. Good for you. That's something I, you know, definitely want to do with where Nashville is right now too. Just on the real estate front, is everything is growing in immense, booming ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Right on.
That goes back to what you were saying earlier. Like, nobody taught me in school how to buy property. Nobody taught me how finance works outside of.
No one said real estate made the most millionaires in America out of any other industry.
Yeah.
My economics teacher forgot to tell me that one on my test. Good job.
Yeah. I'm a very simple-minded person, man. Like, I don't, real estate made sense to me. I understood it. Like, okay, I can buy this house. Somebody's going to pay my mortgage, and I'm going to make money from the cash flow. And I can write the interest off. Oh, and it's going to appreciate over time. Like, it made sense to me, you know?
The thing that doesn't make sense is, you know, perhaps the luck. And, you know, also the wise moves that you made on your end, which would make sense, that allowed you to be financially ahead, you know? So it's like having gratitude as well for being able to be at a place where you can buy and hold, or a place where you can, you know, whether that's a stock, whether that is real estate, like whatever you're doing, you know.
What have you done? Like, what are you at with it right now? Have you read any books or talked to anybody about it?
Yeah, I am looking at it. I got a down payment definitely to put down on I don't know if it's going to be just some property. My dream is to live out in Leapers Fork, Tennessee. It has been since I was 16. Since I first went out there, I was like, I just got to live here. and ever since then, it's so funny. Like a bunch of my heroes have been slowly moving out there from like across the country. It's very odd. Like friends.
I was going to ask, is there a certain area like in Nashville where like the singer-songwriters migrate to?
Leapers Fork, Forest Hills. There is a magic. There's a cosmic energy in that air. It's like where Tom T. Hall lives, and it's where Patsy Cline live, or Roy Acuff live. It's where our modern heroes and artists that we love today, a lot of them live there. So there's definitely something in the air there, you know, and it's not for a vanity reason I want to live there. It's for whatever muses and energies or vibrations that make Tennessee such a conducive place for musical magic. It seems to be kind of congregated in this like 30-mile radius. It's so weird. It's like an oil. It's like finding oil.
Yeah.
I want to live there though. So I don't know if I want to put some money down on the property or anything like that, but or just buy a house here in town. I'm still not sure.
I got you.
That's definitely the move I want to make.
I recommend check out Rich Dad Poor Dad. Have you read that book?
Robert Kiyosaki. Yeah, I love Robert Kiyosaki. Yeah, absolutely. He's all about real estate, right? He goes jogging looking for real estate deals. And
yeah. Changed my life, that guy, man.
So what are some bullet points from Robert Kiyosaki that you think listeners would perhaps dig into listening to this podcast between you and I?
Yeah, like it goes back to what we were talking about with awareness, like the social conditioning, the way that we think we have to grow up and go to school and go to college. And
put yourself in debt.
Yeah. Don't put yourself in debt. Stay out of debt. Get a good job and then retire. Well, that all changed when Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, and I think it was 71, right? The dollar's shit. It has been shit. It continues to be shit.
Wild. Now we're like on the Dogecoin standard.
Yeah. So I did a course with Kiyosaki. Like I had to make a decision, you know, it's like, do I really want to do this or not? And I went and did the free seminar. And then at the free seminar, they sell you on the $500 seminar.
Sure.
You go to the 500 one, then they sell you on the, what I paid $30,000 for.
So what is the deal on 30? Do you just get private consulting on properties and options?
Not even that. It was like a deal set up for a year. Like a year's worth of coaching, and like you can choose 5 different like classes to go to throughout the year, and they're in different places. Like you pay your own way to Miami, then you went to San Diego, to Vegas. They let you go to some cool places, you know. But I learned so much in that year, and the knowledge that I have from that year, I still use today. Like nobody can take that from me. Just like it was an investment of my time. There were times I didn't want to go do it, you know, but I knew where I wanted to get to. Same thing with you and the hour. I'm not comparing myself to you, but the hours that you've put in, the days and the years, you have something nobody can take from you unless they chop off your left hand, you know, like, but I mean, it's skills though that you've acquired and you've earned, you know? And so that's why I'm just drawn to, I'm so inspired by somebody with work ethic and drive. And I think it's all in the details. You know,
Thank you. Yeah.
What separates the greats from the goods.
Whoa, that's very real. Very real. Absolutely. Yeah, so that's cool that you took that course, man. So I'll have to pick your brain about that sometime.
Yeah, man. Reach out anytime. But yeah, that was a long night in the hotel looking at that little sheet on how much that was going to be, you know, and actually pulling the trigger the next day. But I had it paid back in 6 months, you know, and so glad I did. So
really?
Just
that's
based
great.
off of the knowledge that I learned, you know. But you mentioned it a couple times, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. Explain cosmic country.
Yeah, you know, someone the other day said cosmic country is everybody's country. And, you know, in a time where it feels like we're very polarized in how we feel about this country, this music is not for polarizing purposes. I look at it, it's basically we're combining the elements of jam music with country music. So it's for fans of Grateful Dead and also for fans of Willie Nelson in the most possible.
That's what I thought. I'm like, God, Daniel, like listening to your music, it's like Jerry Garcia mixed with Merle Haggard with like a splash of like Bob Marley.
Yeah, you know, I share a birthday with Merle, April 6th.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Merle's one of my biggest heroes. Just the way that Merle also evolved as an artist over his time, and the way his voice changed, and so it's like yeah, that's the whole other podcast talking about Merle. But yeah, it's like it's combining jam band music with country music, and it's been done before. It's definitely not anything new, But I feel like the way that I feel like I'm just kind of part of a lineage of people who are just carrying on this tradition, and carrying on that energy. And like at the root of the tree are the greats that founded it all, and I'm just like a little branch on it presently. Yeah, it's like tie-dyes and Levi's, people who like country music, but also they like the story through the words, but they also like stories through guitar playing and stories through solos and stories through the actual music itself.
Right.
So it's two stories for the price of one. The price today, given like how Spotify is, the price is around $0. I had to go check it out. So it's a pretty good deal.
How is that for musicians now, though, man? Like with Spotify and all the free plays, like how, other than going out and touring, and how has that changed for you guys?
You definitely got to own the most amount of your masters as you can, and a lot of acts do, like Colter Wall has like La Honda Records. Billy Strings worked with Rounder Records through his own imprint. I have Cosmic Country Music, which is a label that in itself aggrandizing to say label. It's really just basically like an LLC, just like you own your masters, just like a small individual. And I think that's the main thing that you have to do in the landscape that we're in now. But music was really only profitable for about like less than 100 years. Like in the history that music's been around, selling recorded music was only profitable for a small percentage of the time. So it's actually nothing new if you look at it statistically. And it was bound to be that way because now everything is open source. My dad does integrations technology, and software is open source. Like people who write software put it up on the internet, and other people who write software can go in there and kind of fuck with it for free, right? Or they can use it. And it's the same thing with music. Like music's free again, not now, but again, it was always free for years, but now it's free. And that's kind of weird. And Jason Isbell turned me on to the idea. I'm not just making this up. It was an article and it was like, it's actually really true. Like Beethoven wasn't selling CDs. Like Beethoven's not like selling like downloads to his record he just came out with. Like it was free. You'd go and see it. So I think what it is now though is just the freemium model is that you have to invest in putting out content and music for people who are going to be interested in what you're doing. And if you want to convert people, with opportunities that monetize, and you do so through merchandise, you do so through interacting with people on Patreon and just bringing value through the experience of a live show, a live stream. I don't like the live stream thing too much though.
Why is that?
I think there's definitely like you like look at it like this, like okay,
you lose a feel.
Yeah, it's like there's musicians, and it's like okay, well that's everyone who does music. Then it's like, well, what kind of music do you do? Do you do Korean pop? Okay, well then like that's cool because that's the show that grossed the most amount of money for a live stream ever. And it was like right under $18 million.
Really?
And it was like, well, that makes sense because it's like most of their songs are digitally done. They can replicate it live by just playing it through a house speaker and they just sing along to it. So it's more of a presentation and not a celebration, which is what we say for every Cosmic Country show is that this is a celebration, not a presentation. Like it's not like a Word file. It's not like an Excel spreadsheet where it's like, I just pop it into the computer and I press play and it turns on. It's a celebration of humanity. It's a celebration of who we are in that moment. What jeans am I wearing that day? How am I feeling that day? And how is it sounding that day? How does it feel? And so it's very incredibly a human moment more so than it is anything else. And so to translate the human moment through a live stream is really hard. So like if the kind of music that you do is really human moment based, it's really hard to replicate that through a live stream.
Yeah.
You got to go through a lot of loops to do so. And people have done it. Like Billy Strings done a great job at it with his live streams, and Paul Cauthen, Culture Wall, they've all done great jobs at doing their live stream thing. But you can tell it's not the thing that they do. It's not like that.
I'm glad to hear you say that though, because watching some of those live streams, like I can feel it, on the other end, like you can feel it for sure. And so
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear you say that.
It's definitely a weird time, but this is going to be the roaring 20s, man. This is going to be an amazing decade.
So let's say hypothetically we get like you're on stage and Billy String's on stage for like a guitar off. Who wins that?
Depends who's playing what kind of guitar. It really does. If Billy, I can't pick. Billy's going to destroy me in those first 5 frets. You know what I mean? Like with the capo on, and Billy's going to destroy me. But I don't know if guitar works that way. But man, I mean, I put in my time on the Telecaster, and he's definitely put his time on those Thompson guitars that he plays. We both have our own sound.
You put that on a live stream, I guarantee you people tune into that.
Dude, I love Billy. He has shown me the way that it's always worked for me is people have to show me that things are possible. Like John Mayer showed me, like, okay, like you can play guitar soulfully. Merle Haggard showed me that you can write a song that everybody gets the words to easily. You don't have to be cryptic. Johnny Cash showed me that simplicity is actually technically kind of hard. Billy String showed me that you can be a really realized guitar player and a really unique person and have a fan base that is conducive for a business and conducive for a community of people that spreads positivity and a good human experience.
Yeah.
He's kind of what I'm bullseyeing right now, like what I'm modeling after. It's like what the Don Kelly band showed me at Roberts. It's like that. They showed me honky tonk music, which is not bar band music. People think you play covers, you play in a bar band. Sure. If you're playing Journey songs all the time, then yeah. But if you're playing in a honky tonk band, that is hard. It's like being a Green Beret. It's not easy, it's a focused thing. And so they showed me that these things are possible, and so heroes are always showing me that things are possible. And it's like, well, let me just be the next evolution of that thing. Yeah. And if you look at it that way, it's way less selfish because it's way less like, oh, I'm going to show the world what I am. Like, I'm going to come up with the best idea ever. It's like, no, like see where you can take ideas and evolve through those ideas. So those ideas live through you.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So that's kind of the things that I've been thinking about. That was a crazy answer, but
no, that's a great answer.
Yeah. I'd like to play guitar one day again with Billy on stage. It was fun doing it with him last year.
So where did y'all play? I missed this.
We did it at he has this event called String the Halls, and his management team were so good at branding String the Halls. It's so funny. And it was like a sold out show, like 2,000 people at Marathon Music Works here in Nashville. And he texted me that day. I asked him if I could just get some tickets to come see the show. And he's like, why don't you come play some Grateful Dead songs again, the Grateful Dead. Yeah. And so, yeah, man, we played some songs together and it was really fun. He's legitimately a hero of mine.
That's awesome. How are y'all the same age?
I think he's like 2, 3 years, 4 years older than me. So yeah. He's a genius though at what he does. Same with Coulter. Coulter is a hero of mine. Coulter is my age. Now that freaks me out.
It's crazy.
That guy. Oh yeah. Like Journey comparison syndrome. Like people ask like all the time, like how old's Coulter Wall? It's like, well, he's my age. It's like, well, damn, that guy sounds like he's 65 years old.
Yeah.
And like that guy's very realized. Like he is.
He was on the show back in December, and man,
I listened to it.
Great you did. I mean, just a solid guy, right? Like just a good human being. And it's so crazy that we have to make it sound like that. Like, but it's so rare to find that nowadays,
Yeah, I think what podcasts are is a way for you to get familiar with the soul of who somebody is, and so it only makes sense that people do podcasts now. And it only makes sense that it was already something that humans were interested in hearing. And anyone who listens to that podcast with Coulter, who dug his music prior, now you're going to really like love his music because you realize how the music that you make is a reflection of who you are. Mm-hmm. You see that in Coulter. Like he's not trying to do anything except be that guy. And that to me is something I really admire. Like if Joe Rogan asked me to be on his podcast, I'd be there before he finished texting me. I'd be in Austin. I'd be like, I would have a case of Topo Chico and some suntan lotion on. Like but Coulter was like, nah.
I got some ranching to do today.
I'm gonna sing these Eddie Arnold songs really, really well, and y'all come to me, talk to me in a couple of years. It's like, dude, fuck yeah. Like that adds to everything that you're doing. And I think it's as simple and also as difficult as it is. Just be you. And it works out. It just depends what kind of game you're playing. Are you playing the long game or the short game? And Coulter is playing the long game, man. You know, I've spent some time with him through touring. I was touring with Paul Cauthen for a number of years as his guitar player, kind of skew everyone else in the band to be on the same page. And we spent a lot of time with Coulter because we were doing shows together. And that dude is unique, man. That guy exists on his own plane of perception and communicating with people that is very unique to who he is. And it's really developed. And he's just a very stoic person is how I would describe it. But I definitely don't know him too well to speak anything further from that, except that he's really talented and that he's not trying to be anybody but who he is. And I think that's what the world needs.
For sure. I think everything, just from what little I know of him, everything you said was very accurate and on point. You know, to be that talented and to be that humble, it's
crazy. He's 25 rare. Years old. Fuck, it's crazy.
It's rare. Yeah. Along those same lines, man, I read an interview and the person asked you, and I may butcher this, but something about like, would you ever go, like you have the chops to go on tour and like play with big acts like a Taylor Swift or something? And I loved your answer. Your answer was, yeah, but I also have the chops to be Daniel Donato.
Yes, I do.
And so that goes in line like with the confidence of these other names that we're mentioning, like you're right in the mix with those people, you know? And so where does the confidence come from? Is it from playing 400, 500 plus shows at Roberts, or is it just from the hours that you put in? Like, where does the confidence come from?
I don't know. I don't know where the confidence comes from. That's actually a good question. I should ask myself that sometime. Well, I am me. So I'm also very aware of all the things I'm not confident about. So my answer is very skewed. But I definitely would rather, that's me rejecting the ideal that if you're talented, that you need to just lend your talent to somebody else's vision. Which is what a lot of guitar players do very well, by the way, which is something that I'm just taking a risk and not doing. I'm just lending it to my own vision. You know what I mean? I would very much so rather take the risk and be Daniel Donato than be in somebody's band for 15 years.
Yeah.
You know, at most. Yeah. I would definitely rather do that. Where that drive comes from is just who I am. It's how I was born. You know, I would get in trouble as a kid for, you know, getting kids to sell candy for me at school.
That's awesome. Delegate.
To sell Smarties for me to other kids, you know, sneak them into school and be like, who's selling all these damn Smarties? I remember it. Dr. Campbell was so pissed off and he found out we had like a pound of Smarties in my locker. And it was, you know, and just like, I've just really, I can't do anything that I'm not interested in. The thing that I'm most interested in is like realizing and developing who I am.
Yeah.
And like what Daniel Donato like is like as a concept, you know, and some people say like, don't talk about yourself in third person. But it's like, you don't get it. Like, you don't get it. Like you don't see that you also exist as a third person. And like what people perceive of you is a real thing. And that's actually the thing you're putting out into the world when you put out music. Is what people think of you and what you are. So you have to be true and realized and be honest with those intentions. And the best way that I can be honest is through my music and through what I do. And so I don't want to inhibit that. And so I want to get the most out of the chance that I've been given with this guitar and this connection with music. And so I want to do that on my own stage and, you know, with my own intentions, not somebody else's.
Yeah.
You know, probably one day though, what I would love to do, like I think like the biggest dream, if I could ask the universe for anything, is to play in Dead and Company, which is the Grateful Dead reworking with John Mayer. That would be like my musical dream to play in that band. You know, that would be that'd be an insane reality to live in.
Hell yeah!
The one we're in right now isn't already kind of insane. Already.
It's like we're just a perception of a perception. You know, I think. I may butcher this quote, but Jay Shetty says it best. He's like, I'm not who I think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, when I heard that, it's like, fuck, he's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I am who you think I am. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, well, yeah, everyone's perception is valid. Is that kind of what you're getting?
Yeah, it's like it made me question reality. Like my reality of Daniel Donato is different than what your neighbor may think of Daniel Donato versus what your mom's reality is. You know what I mean? So it's like, what is reality? It goes back to like being hyper curious. Like, what is it? It makes me sit and journal and really think about those things, you know? It gets deep. I haven't come up with any answers though.
I got to play the Ryman a couple times already.
Yeah.
And here's something that leaning into what you're saying. It's like what we're seeing in reality at any given moment. And like, so I was playing on this live record that was being cut there, and I got to take a solo. And I was wearing this like leather jacket on stage made by my friend Christophe Leron, and he runs this business called Mr. Freedom out in Hollywood. And it's like old style, like H-Bar C, Wrangler, like Bluebell, Western wear, selvage denim, really well made, high quality stuff. And I got off stage, and my mom was backstage, and she was like, "Were you cold up there?" And it's like, that's what you were thinking about? Was I cold? It's like, so whatever we're thinking about in reality and what we're taking in at any given time is exponentially different from Mark to Daniel to Amy Donato, Yep. And so my dad has a good way of phrasing it. He goes, like whenever he describes people to me, he's like, well, this person chose to have this in their reality, or they chose to see this in their reality. And he says it very matter-of-factly, not in any way that's trying to like reference a way of religion or a way of spirituality or anything. Right. It's just like, this person chose to perceive the reality in this way, and this is why they acted that way. And it's like, man, holy shit. It's like, if you really look at it in that kind of stoic of a way where you're choosing everything, like you choose how you perceive to see things, and you choose how you perceive to react to things and invest your time and assets of any kind, whether it's monetary or not. Like, you have freedom of that. And that's the best thing about living in this country. Yeah. You know what it's like?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Man. So yeah, choosing how you perceive reality. That's great. You are who you think I am. Like a weird game. It's crazy.
There's another book I'll recommend. Have you heard of The Physics of God?
Oh, no.
I'll send it to you. I'll get your address before we get off here, and I'm going to send that to you, man. That, along with awareness, like opened my eyes. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, right on. Good. I love that. I'm always trying to, I think when you get those realizations, it's the same thing as doing a tricep, like tricep pull downs, and like a week later, like the next morning, like your arm hurts because you rip that muscle tissue and it's going to grow back bigger. It's obviously the same thing. Like when your mind gets blown, it's like the mind tissue just got blown and it's going to grow back bigger. Like you're growing. There's the abstract muscles that we can't quite see that might exist in different realities that are definitely apparent from one person to the next, Well,
sure. Like you're just peeling, like the blinders are being opened wider and wider,
That's why I think in some other reality, fucking Willie Nelson probably looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Because of that dude's abstract muscle understanding of just how to take inspiration from the air and turn it into a song. Communicate. Like that's a strong human. That's a Yoda. That is one for many generations that will always be spoken of. And it's like, that is a strong human. So
that's a fact. And we're so limited with our five senses. Like there's so much going on around us and we have no clue.
Especially with all that fluoride. that shuts off that pineal gland, man. I'm trying to learn about all those things right now too. COVID's given me a lot of time to like learn about weird things. So.
I got just a couple more and then I'll let you go, man. What are some books? Like give me your top 3 books that you've reread since we're on the topic of learning things.
Man, I think for anyone who's a musician, the book Effortless Mastery is a fantastic book. Effortless Mastery. It just teaches you how to relate to the thing that you are attaching your identity to, which most oftentimes is your career or like main hobby, and just how to relate to that in a more efficient way and be more creative with it. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Yeah. What my father gave me when I was like 14.
That was the first book I ever read, I think.
Me too.
Yeah. I think it was the first one.
And these are nonfiction. And then Seneca, life is long if you know how to use it.
So you read some Stoic philosophy then?
I'm into Stoicism. I'm into the things that last, that survive cultures. Yeah. And the same thing that's breaking a lot of parts of our culture now are the same things that have broken other cultures in the past. So it seems like we're kind of in this weird simulation that we call life that definitely has sequences and patterns that transcend from society to society. So what Seneca said way before the thought of a fucking Instagram post still applies today. And it's like, okay, how do I access that way of thinking to where you can kind of just exist? It doesn't matter what time period you're in and your thoughts are going to work.
Exactly.
Seneca is that. He is life proof, life advice.
Yeah. Same thing with have you read Marcus Aurelius's Meditations?
Yes.
It's like 2,000 years ago, right? And it's like, holy shit, man.
Yeah.
They dealt with the same stuff that we're dealing with today.
That's the thing people are asking, like, what do you think about this new normal? It's like, what do you mean? Like, people came here from Europe on a boat and they didn't know if they were going to live. It's like, COVID ain't nearly as bad as that. Yeah. And then some crazy sons of bitches were like, we're just going to go to the land stops and we're going to call it California. Yeah. It's like, we're just going to go till there's no more land and just set up shop. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, what kind of crazy adventurous man and woman are going to do that? And it's like, this is nothing new. Like men and women, humans have faced hardship before and we know what to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, so that's something that someone asked me the other day, like, what do you think about this new normal? It's like, first off, I don't really like that phrase.
I don't like the term either.
What do you mean new normal? Like, when has normal not been new? When have you ever existed on a single moment in this earth where it hasn't been ever changing? Then the answer is like, well, maybe you've just been blind to it and you haven't been trying to see it. And then two, it's like, this isn't new. Like, these are new. None of these problems are new. Like, we could face these things and grow from it, trying to be better. So,
But these times, like, it goes back to Stoicism 101, right? Control what you can control. And that is your mind most of the time. Well, at least we have the ability to,
Yeah, man.
Potentially.
Everyone maybe should smoke a little weed.
Dude, I could sit here and rap with you for a few more hours, man.
Likewise, man.
Do you want to play one out? Like, do you have time to play one?
Yeah. What you want to hear?
Man, we can play something off your new album if you want.
Yeah, I'm cool with whatever.
What is it? Always Been a Lover? I've Always Been a Lover?
Oh, yeah. Maybe I should do, I had this one that I've been working on.
Or yeah, whatever you want. Like, you play whatever you want to play.
Every day the stage is set, morning and night, the lights must keep shining bright. My blood is still boiling, my wheels are still turning, the clock keeps on singing a sweet lullaby. I'm locked in the shambles of gambling with time, we all get the minimum wage. Time flies like hurricanes, fast lane tidal waves, drowning you deep in forgotten days. Words I've lost in the wind, this darkness you're traveling in. Waste all your days away, a candle to flame, drown you deep in forgotten days. Watches have taken their toll, dice is loaded, ready to roll. Time box like smoking guns, everyone is outdone. The fruit on the tree is gone, like words that were lost in the wind. This darkness you're traveling in will waste all your days away, a candle to flame, drown you deep in forgotten days. stand the wind. This darkness you're traveling in will waste all your days away, a candle to flame. Drown you deep in forgotten days. Drown you deep in forgotten days. Oh, yeah. Right on.
You even got the camera guys clapping.
Was he that dude with the polka dot shirt on?
Yeah. Yep. Very
Yeah,
observant.
I wanted to send you one of these Cosmic Country John Deere hats.
Oh, fuck yeah. I'll rock the shit out of it.
That book.
Do what?
I wanted to bring it on here just to show you because I wanted to see if you were into it first and foremost. But
oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, okay, right on. I wanted to make sure before I sent it your way, but
yeah, you bet, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for letting me pick one for you. That's one called Forgotten Days. I thought that would like really apply to everything that happened last year. Yeah. Drown you deep, forgotten days, this like words that were lost in the wind, this darkness you're traveling in. Just try to stay grateful and be aware.
That's it. Look for the good. It's easier to find that way.
Look for the good, look for the Topo Chico. There we go.
Very talented, man. Is an understatement. I appreciate your time on the show today. And where can people find you? Are you going to be playing anywhere live anytime soon?
Yeah, we play pretty much every week here in Nashville right now. So if anyone's coming to Nashville, we play at Robert's Western World all the time. We're back there picking again. We're coming out with a new album. I think we're going to call it Cosmic Country and Western Songs. And that's what we're working on right now. We're going to be touring starting in August. But man, you find Cosmic Country anywhere on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. The Cosmic Country Club on DanielDonato.com is where we send all like merch and all announcements there first. And the Lost Highway podcast. We do a podcast episode every week. You got to come on. We got to hang on there soon.
Yeah, man. I'd love to. And you're also doing lessons, right? Are you still doing that?
No, I did 100 guitar lessons this past month, and we're going to do another 100. Those are almost booked up. So we're going to do 200 guitar lessons just in the first quarter of this year, which is
that's awesome.
But yeah, man, it's really fun sitting down with people from all over the world. I actually gave a guitar lesson to someone in Wuhan, China the other day.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. You talk about providing value. Like I just see you everywhere providing value and in any way that you possibly can. I think that's awesome.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I'm just trying to stay busy and just, I call patience, persistence, and positivity. That's just those 3 Ps. Those are what I keep in my mind all the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right on, my friend. Well, dude, I enjoyed it.
Thank you. This was a blast.
So place you fall.